Hey everybody, it's Ryan from Pi Records, and I'm here with the amazing Nebulas. How are you guys?
Great.
Good. Great.
Great. How are you?
Very good. Very excited to talk to you. Mel sent me a bunch of links to listen to your music on YouTube, and of course it was super impressive. It was very energetic and aggressive, which I love, coming from a punk rock background. But before we get into the band, I'd like to ask you to introduce yourselves and what instruments you play.
Okay, I'm Mike Dominguez. I play the, I guess you call it the lead guitar. I play the melodies.
Eric Grammer, bass guitar.
And Jim Nichols, drums, battery.
Cool. I've heard the name Jim Nichols quite a bit. All right, so let's first, before we go anywhere, let's talk about the Surf by Surfwest 3 2022 festival that you're playing, and how special that is to you.
I'll let Jim take this because I don't know much about it other than a lot of the bands that are playing are pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, we've known the Boss Martians for quite some time, and a couple of years ago we met the Del Stroyers. So the Boss Martians were doing East Coast. They were doing a few dates a few years ago, I think 2019, I believe. And so we did a show with them in Providence, and it was great to hook up with them again. We had played with them, I think 2003, also in Providence. So we've known those guys for quite a long time. But the Del Stroyers came along with them as well. And we were really impressed with those guys. Played at a great club in Providence called Dusk. But, we love the Northwest. Seattle, we played there, I think 2006 or something, with the Satan's Pilgrims a couple of times. So met a bunch of people out there. And again, over the course of the last, whatever, 15, 20 years, we've met a lot of people, whether it's virtually online or through communities or whatever, that are really supporting the scene out there. TN, Mel from the Woodhavens now. So a lot of people we've known, and we're just really super stoked to be part of that. Kicking off on that Friday night show with with the Boss Martians and the Evanstones, and then a great lineup of bands the next day. We're going to play in Portland that second night on Saturday. So, hopefully it's only 3 hours. So maybe we'll be able to catch some of those bands in the afternoon before we truck down there. But really, hats off to, I think it's Tom and Tien for putting that together. And I know, is this like the third? It's the third one. So they did it like 2 years. Obviously the COVID thing kind of kiboshed that a couple of years ago, but I'm really, really happy to be playing with those bands, but really having, Tien and Tom, and really organizing, really keeping the scene going in Seattle, which is a great city. But we're just really happy to kick off our whole tour at that's such a good festival.
That leads me to my next question. Tell me about your tour. Where you head?
Well, I could jump in. So Seattle that first night. That's that Friday. And then, as Jim said, Saturday we're in Portland. And then Sunday we're in San Jose, which will be another really cool show. And it'll be a little bit earlier in the day on Sunday. And then Tuesday we're in Albany, California, which is just north of kind of the North Berkeley area. And then Wednesday we're in Santa Cruz.
Ah, yeah.
So that'll be really, really fun.
I love Santa
we got
Cruz.
some cool bands that we're playing with down there. Also, I think Mike, friends with yourself, right? So
but a buddy of mine got us that show. Yeah.
So that'll be really fun. And then Thursday night, we're still trying to solidify that show. We're hoping that'll all work out. It should be Santa Barbara. And then Friday, we're in Pasadena. Saturday, in Long Beach, and then we end it all on Sunday with the SG 101.
And I'll see you there.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Nice.
the best thing about the SG 101 thing, and probably go on for hours about that whole thing, but one little tidbit is we're playing at the American Legion Post 43,
Yeah.
and in the bar where I think we're going to be playing is actually the bar that they filmed the bar scene in The Shining at.
Oh.
Wow.
Hey Lloyd, I'm sorry, your money's no good here, Mr. Torrance. So
Wow. That's awesome. Now that is something, maybe I could talk to the bar owner about that. That'd be an interesting little talk.
yeah,
Yeah.
come
So,
play with us, Danny.
So you got the tour. You've been around like probably as long as the Boss Martians. Am I correct?
No, we started in 2001, like spring, I think. And when I was in college, I was listening to the Boss Martians. So that was like late 90s. I was trying to figure out what gear to use, and they were one of the bands that I was able to glean some information from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Evan has quite a stash of gear himself.
Yeah, he did a lot of the hard work for me. I don't remember. I think it was Cowabunga. It was like the old forum or something that you could get information from or find bands on.
Oh,
And
really?
I remember something that Evan had posted about his Jaguar, and he said something about a Mustang bridge, and also putting a quarter pounder Jim Duncan pickup in his guitar as well. And he said he was really digging it. I was like, all right, I'm gonna try that. And yeah, it was dope because the strings no longer bounce off the saddle, and then the guitar just sounds, a lot hotter. So
Awesome.
that was a big breakthrough for me.
Awesome. Tell me about how you guys got started. For our listeners, I'm sure you guys were all influenced by surf music before you started the band, but what was the linchpin?
Oh, I think
well, yeah, it goes back before the Nebulas. Eric and we actually went to college together. We grew up about 15 minutes from each other in the Bay Area, California, but never knew each other. So we met in college in I think 96. And I was already kind of interested in surf music. And so we were roommates, and we just kind of jammed a little bit because he played bass. And we just started kind of goofing off and playing some surf instrumentals. And from there, we met a drummer at college and another guitarist. And so we played, bad surf music for the late 90s. And then when we all graduated from college, the band kind of fell apart, and we were all kind of moving on. And so I was actually moving to the East Coast at that point. So I went on to Cowabunga and started emailing a bunch of East Coast bands to see if anyone needed a guitarist. And so that's how I found Jim. Jim was in the Ninth Wave at the time. So I moved east, started jamming with Jim in the Ninth Wave, and then Jim and I and the bass player in the Ninth Wave decided to do a little side project. That's kind of how the Nebulas were born.
And then Eric came out a year later.
A year later,
right before,
about a year, yeah.
Right before, we were like,
California.
Hey, we got to go to California. Good shows,
Yep.
good people out there. And then Eric's like, I don't know what that dynamic was, but hey, you want to come out here and join the Nebulas? He's like, okay. And then that's when we had him for California, and that was. Well, it's our 20th anniversary of the California tour, so we're busting up on 20 years since then.
That's crazy.
Where's your home base right now?
The band home base, or each of us individually?
Just New England is our
home base.
Yeah, I guess New England, because I'm in Rhode Island, Jim's in Connecticut, Eric's in Massachusetts, and where's Dan? Is he in Mass as well?
Dan's
or is he
in
in
Mass,
New
but
Hampshire?
he's on the Mass New Hampshire border. But yeah.
Yeah.
How have you been preparing for this tour that's coming up?
So during the pandemic, we actually started. I don't know what the program is, but we were attempting to rehearse virtually, which was horrible because somehow we could do it with the guitars and the bass, but the drums, there was so much latency lag
Oh, yeah.
that it was near impossible for Jim to play along with us. So we only did that a handful of times. We went to Jim's house a few times and practiced. And finally, like a few months ago, I brought a handheld recording device, recorded it, and made a set list. And we've all been like practicing on our own to that set list. And getting
So,
together maybe once a month.
oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah.
so the festival won't be like your first time playing together.
Oh, no.
No.
Oh, no.
No, and what's pretty common for us is before any gig, we like to get together at least a couple of times right before we hit the road. So
Yeah, so you're fresh.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think too, we did a we did a rock climbing convention last September.
last summer.
Last
Yeah,
summer.
late summer.
Doing it again this year. Looking forward to that. But
Yep.
I think kind of in that, the heart of the pandemic had kind of passed, and we've been doing a lot more like once a month, once every 2 months, at my house, outside if we can, or in a garage. But I mean, I know personally for me, because we've been playing for 20 years, but there are a few years in there we didn't play that often. But I think in the last year, the gigs, but more the rehearsals that we've done, really, I mean, I feel that we've just gotten that tightness back.
Awesome.
And
Yeah.
just looking so much forward to sharing it with some other people. I mean,
Yeah.
it was always kind of tight, but I think it's gelled a lot more in the last 18 months or so, since we've been able to actually just play in the same room, in the same space with,
Yep.
together.
Plus
Yeah.
having the goal of the tour coming up like keeps you psyched and makes you
Yeah.
pick up the guitar. So
Yeah.
Is there can anybody expect anything new or special?
I mean, a lot of it's going to be new for the folks out there because we haven't been out there in forever. So, but we are doing a little something special. I'm not gonna talk about it. You'll just have to come to the show to check it out. But we definitely have a good portion of the set list is gonna be something different. So,
Are you gonna do
in a
it
good way.
at SG 101 too?
Oh yeah, I believe we're gonna try and do it at every gig if we can. So
I'm
Yeah.
gonna be there, so I want to meet you guys. Just look for the hat.
all right.
I'm gonna
Are
be
you
there.
gonna be are you gonna be at the meet and greet like the night before?
I'm gonna be at all the shows with Jeff.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause
Jeff has put me up. He was kind enough to put me up, and I'm gonna help him load the gear and do whatever needs to be done. And then I'm gonna cover the show.
All right, good.
Nice.
Because I think like that meet and greet the night before the Secret Island show
Yeah,
with Surfer Joe and I think the Mach 4. Great to see those guys back at it. Like they're gonna do like a meet and greet, I think, as part of that event as well. So
oh,
no,
nice.
really look forward to meeting you and a bunch of other people we haven't seen in either ever or in 20 years.
Or 20 years.
Awesome. So after the tour, are you guys gonna take a rest and then start writing?
Well, I'm always writing. I'm always coming up with stuff, but I'm a pretty big critic for it. So a lot of the stuff I'll come up with and then I'll listen to it the next day or a couple of days later, like, oh, that's kind of trash. And then so it takes a while before I actually bring something to them to say, hey, check this out. Let's try and come up with something from this.
do you go with
it
rhythm
doesn't-
or melody first?
It's usually the melody, sometimes the rhythm, but for the most part, it's always the melody.
Awesome.
But I think,
Yeah.
again, for the people out in California that haven't actually seen us play, in the last few years, I mean, we probably have at least probably a third of an album's worth of material that we haven't released. We had our
Yeah.
EP. We have an EP, Coke Bottle Green, 10-inch record, obviously.
wow.
And we got
It's
a
hot.
very limited run of that. But again, we do have some left. So if you're in any way interested in any of that, I'd click on over to the website to get that. But I mean, we're really proud of that. Again, it's the first thing we've actually put out in, many years. This is
And it was also completely do it yourself. We recorded it
DIY.
ourselves, mixed it
Yeah.
ourselves,
Awesome.
everything.
It just so
Yeah.
happens that 10 inches are my favorite format. Just something special
It is.
about them. I
Yeah.
don't know. They're just kind of unique because they're rare in comparison to what everybody puts out.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I know I always wanted to be, I was such a fan of the bands that had done that, like,
Yeah,
the Bombors mostly, the organ grinder,
yeah.
10-inch was always, is still a favorite. There's a few others, like there's that, I think there's like a Dick Dale tribute thing that's on a 10-inch, and a few other, Eight Men for one, that they have a 10-inch out. And I was like, oh, I just love to. The one thing I would love to do in a band to put out a 10-inch record, and mission accomplished. On
Awesome.
Coke bottle green, no less.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So we got the tour, we got extra songs which are going to be in the set. What's next after that?
So after the tour, I think we're definitely going to try to maybe come up with one or two more new tunes and then get something recorded. Put out a bit longer of an LP. And then, like Jim was saying, we have that outdoor climbing festival we're playing in September. And yeah, we're just going to keep, plugging away.
What's
keep writing
that like
stuff, keep
doing
playing.
the rock climbing show?
So Eric and I, we both climb, or Eric used to climb ages ago. It's what I used to do for work. I used to work at an indoor climbing facility, and I love climbing, and so I have a connection. That's how we got that show. But it was awesome. It was outdoors. We got to play like vintage climbing movies behind us instead of like vintage surfing because it seemed
Nice.
appropriate. And yeah, they loved it. It's a lot of my friends were there, so they were pretty psyched to see us play. But it was a great show. It was a great reception, and yeah, it was just a good vibe. And we're playing it again, so I guess they liked it.
And it's a great kind of area as well. Just
Yeah.
playing outside. And
yeah, it was in Rumney, New Hampshire, so we got to just like
nice.
crank it up. No PA or anything, just our regular live mix, doing it ourselves, and people were psyched. They're like, wow, it sounds great. So
That's good. That's a good thing about being an instro band. You don't have to worry about the PA.
yeah, exactly. Dreadful
exactly.
vocals.
So before we go, I'd like to give you a chance to mention anything or say anything that I might not have asked about or talked about.
I don't know. I mean, Deano's not here. We are not a trio. We do have a fourth ingredient, and that's our rhythm guitarist. Very good rhythm guitarist who's actually a drummer originally. But yeah, I can't think of anything to add.
Isn't it amazing how drummers just kind of adapt and like they just they're very easily joining other bands or playing in multiple bands and acquiring and playing other instruments. It just seems like that's the way of the drummer.
Yeah, he was for Dano's story. He was really psyched on surf music, and he wanted to do a band as a drummer, but he just couldn't find anybody. And so he was like, all right, I'll buy I think he bought a Jazzmaster for his first guitar and like a twin reverb. And he just started like kind of teaching himself. And I think, Jim, you met him at a show, right?
Yeah, actually, Dan and I think we had met in some of those online forums.
Yeah.
And I remember he and I, and this might have been in the year 2000, so right around when I think, Mike, I had met you. And Dan and I actually we flew to Washington, or we got there separately, but we both went to see the Space Cossacks show in like 2000, and it was like, I think it was the last show before Yvonne left Washington and went to Michigan or wherever he went. So it's kind of like their kind of then last hurrah 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And we met there, and then that's how like into it he was and I was. And
Yeah.
then I think a few couple months later, I said, hey, whatever, we're going to be playing here, with Mike. And he came out, and Mike and I and our previous bass player, we had recorded a demo of like 5 or 6 songs or something like that, and done that. And
As
we gave that
Nebulas.
to Dan, and he's like,
yeah.
Oh shit.
He's like, oh wow, this is amazing.
I better learn how to play that A minor chord.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. When Dan came to my house the first time to start learning this stuff, I had never met him, and he shows up. I'm like, all right, let's, I'm gonna start teaching you the songs, And I think I said, all right, we're gonna do Spinito Bandito because he really liked that song. He said, so it starts in A minor, so go ahead and, play an A minor. And he looks at me like I'm talking in a different language. He had no idea what an A minor was. And so I was like, oh boy, let's see what happens. So I gave him a ton of homework, and to his credit, he practiced a lot. And at the time I was living in like kind of like southernish Rhode Island in Little Compton, and he was living in like the Boston area. He would drive down 2 days a week to like come down and like jam with me and just like learn the song. So he put the work in. Yeah. So like I think maybe after a month, maybe 2 months, he had a set list down. So that's when we started playing out as the Nebulas.
Awesome.
I mean, in terms of like final thoughts and stuff, I mean, I just think we've been, really fortunate, one, obviously to find each other and have the chemistry really work out. Again, over 20 years. And then the other thing, again, I think we've been really fortunate to have the fans support and the support of other bands that we've been fortunate enough to play with over time. Like the Pilgrims among and Boss Martians and others. But just really grateful that we're able to go back out to California and the Pacific Northwest too. Just, the reception for us has been really good. And we're just so, I'm personally grateful that we're able to do this again as well. So,
yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys. I'm glad you participated in this. This is all a part of the coverage that I'm doing for the Surf by Surfwest shows. So this is going to come out this Thursday, and hopefully every week we'll have a new band from the festival on. We have Tien and Tom. That's already it's already up, and congratulations on the tour. I know everybody's itching to play, and I just want to thank you so much. The links to the Nebulas Facebook page and main website, thenebulas.com, in the description. If you want to know the kind of stuff I use for the podcast, the links are in the description. You can also purchase them there. And if you want Pie Records merch, also in the description. But guys, thank you so much for your patience and coming up strong for me kind of last second.
Hey, thank you, man.
Thanks for your patience.
Yeah, exactly.